Well, hello the internet, it's Ghost here, and welcome to episode 23 of Minecraft Creative, in which today I am taking a build that we did the end of last year, I think it was, and we're giving it some actual lore. Not that I've developed it, but I think it's gonna have a level of storyline that's gonna inform this build, because I haven't really done that before, giving a project that I work on a genuine storyline. So I decided, let's switch things up and try doing that. Pop filter, stay put, come on. You have one job. So yeah, I've started off today by putting in some I was about to say pathways and then just said paths. Okay. Fun. Yeah, so I built a bunch of paths, put some textures. I've also recently realised through watching a heck of a lot of Minecraft building on YouTube that I could in fact use terracotta. Just regular old terracotta as another block for paths, which I think I'm going to do that at some point. Probably not anytime soon because I have all of the ones I could possibly need. But hey ho, I began by making the back of the Red Company building, quite frankly, cultish. I guess there's kind of some sort of shrine. I haven't really determined what this is for. Other than I just kind of on a whim started building this and went, yeah, that's a vibe. Let's do that. Would I necessarily say it's one of the greatest things I've built? By no means. But do I think it will provide inspiration? Absolutely I do. So yeah, that's what we were doing here. And then I went in and added some flowers, and I tried to be really clever with this one here of doing the red flowers and other red bits of foliage and transitioning it into like the pink petals. Oh, I could have put pink tulips down. I don't think I did pink tulips. And then into any flowers that were white so that it looks like gradually, and I probably should have done it in a different way, but so that it will eventually look like the Red Company's dye production, which we assume is dye, because that's what they are. They're a company that dyes things red. We'll assume that the dye is like leaching out into the ground and colouring all of the flowers red. So that's why you have some pink ones, because red plus white equals pink. But yeah, I then went in and added a little like garden where they grow all of their flowers. So there's poppies, there's tulips, there's rose bushes, and I'm glad that I did the combination because I think that makes it look much more full. Obviously the rose bushes are a 2 height block, and then you have the others which, while they're single height, they're different shapes, and therefore it has more, I guess, contrast. I suppose you'd call it contrast. It has more contrast. And then I decided to start working on not a sewer, but like a water filtration system in which they can get water out of the river, but things like fish from the river can't actually come through. So I started by building this giant pipe. I had a lot of fun with this. I mean, as I talk about a lot recently, I've been watching a lot of Hermitcraft. That's where I've been getting a lot of my inspiration from recently, and particularly seeing like Mumbo Jumbo's very mechanical builds. That has been probably one of the biggest inspirations to doing this little bit of the project, because I wanted to make something with pipes and like lots of copper. I really like the copper blocks. I almost wish that I was using them more. There's a lot of blocks though in the game now, so to my brain it's like, oh, what do we do now? How are we going to build something interesting? And yeah, that's that. So I filled in some water. At some point I dug out the rest of the pit. And then this build took me a couple of days to actually work out. This is probably the longest I've spent on a build of this size because it is a small build. There is really not much going on with it. It's genuinely just a giant water tank. However, trying to, when we get to it, work out like the edge of the tank really just stumped me for a bit. I couldn't figure out how I wanted it to look and if the way I was doing it made sense. because I was like, well, I want to be able to see the water on the inside, but at the same time, I didn't want to bring the water all the way up to the top, and it just, angles didn't work. That was the biggest thing. Apparently, I stared into the darkness of the water quite a lot, though. So for the edges of, well, for the main edges of the tank, not the bit I was just talking about, I used, is that crimson wood, the stem with the bright red bits on, and then I used mud and textured that out with, I believe, packed mud. I've also begun putting mud at the bottom of like my riverbeds and things, not loads and loads of it, but a little. So I put mud at the bottom of this tank because I figured, well, the filtration system isn't going to be like filtering out tiny particles. So yes, over time, sediment is going to settle. It makes sense for there to be mud. I used the mangrove with the mud block, that one. We totally know what I mean there. To try and add a little bit of texture. And here's where I began trying to do the edge of the water tank. I don't really know what I was going for. I wanted to try and give it like a bit of a lip, but with the way that the blocks were working, it looked bulky and disproportionate, and I didn't like it, and that made me really annoyed. So eventually, I believe I get rid of the tuff. Actually, yes, I do. If I look at the timeline, at some point, I'm going to get rid of the tuff. Oh, here's the point in which I just kind of stared it down, trying to decide what was wrong with it and what I actually wanted to do next. Here we go, getting rid of the tuff, and then I think I went with doing nether brick or something like that again, because to me that was logical. I'd already got the nether brick on there. Oh, I raised the floor. I raised the floor another block to try and, I guess, put you kind of on a closer level so you can actually see the water. And then I went and added it with the stairs. Nether brick stairs, there we go. That's what I'm using here. I can, the light coming in from my window is just glaring off my laptop so helpfully. This is truly, truly brilliant. Oh, and then I went in and added buttons. Went down to the bottom and, oh, here we go. Adding pipes. I wanted to add pipes because, as I said, I have been heavily inspired by Mumbo Jumbo recently, and I really like his factory build. Also, I kind of want to learn how to do animated fans with redstone now, but also, I don't know I know very, very basic redstone. Like, we did, like, the tiniest bit of redstone for, the Starlight Express project, which I will be returning to. I just haven't really worked on it recently, and I don't have time to work on it, so we'll come back to it. But, I did very, very basic redstone on that. Like, I can string things together for a button to get something to go from a dispenser. I can do that. But I kind of dipped out of playing Minecraft around the point that observers and things came in, I think. Or at least I'd never used observers, and there's so much stuff, like target blocks and things. I don't understand how any of this works. I mean, I look at, like, the flying machines that people make and stuff, and I go, how? How do you do that? But I really want to learn to make animated fans. So I suppose at some point I probably ought to start trying to learn how to do that, because I think that could be really cool. But yeah. Anyways, going back to this project. Oh, I could have put an animated fan in this. I could have put an animated fan on either end of the tunnel that was, like, pumping the water through. That would have been really cool. Maybe we'll have to do another one of these tanks at some point and do that. Because even though you wouldn't be able to see it if you jump in the pool, you would, and that would be epic. But yeah, that is effectively the end of this video. I will see you all again very soon. Goodbye, the internet.